Good morning, everyone. This is Dr.SHIVA Ayyadurai. Hope everyone's doing well and is having a good morning. To people in India, I know it's evening time there. People in Africa, I know it's evening time there in Europe. And then people on the West Coast, I know it's early. The reason and obviously people in Boston here, it's around 9 a.m. I'm a little bit sorry for the delay, but we have some very, very important stuff to talk about. Let me just make sure people on Twitter are okay. 1 second. And everyone's fine there. If you notice the title of the talk, it's really about citizen science versus the scientific establishment and the path to truth, freedom, and health. I want to step back. I want to talk about a little bit about censoring that's taking place. Before I start this talk, I want to talk a little bit about Fauci again. We did an amazing petition campaign. I think nearly 20,000 people have signed up in one day, or 1.5 days. And then I want to talk about what we need to do to move ourselves forward in an environment that is becoming more and more fascist. And that is what we're seeing around us. And there's fear and fascism, and it's all brought to you by the cabal of Big Pharma. And this is no longer conspiracy anymore. We're seeing it play out right before our eyes. So we're going to have a discussion. So pull up I have some green tea here if people want to pull up their chai or coffee, but we're going to talk about for an hour, and then we're going to take some questions to really have a deep dive discussion about what is taking place in the world. Because what we're witnessing right now is no longer anything having to do with any one country anymore. It is a phenomenon that is taking place globally. And it's time that we have a discussion on it so we can frame ourselves as a citizenry to get ready. So let me start with something that just occurred about 24 hours ago, and I think it'll set the context. I was not on Twitter, if you notice. I wasn't tweeting. And why was that? Well, the reason that happened is Twitter shut me down for 24 hours. Okay? And why did they do that? Well, let's just review what happened. Within the last 24 hours, let me go here. As many of you know, I have been uncompromising in exposing this guy, Anthony Fauci, who is really taking advantage of not only the President of the United States, he's taking advantage of the American people, and he's taking advantage of the people throughout the world. He serves the interest of Big Pharma, and he serves the interest of big science, big research, and the military-industrial academic complex. That's what he serves. And today what I'm going to do is lay out where Fauci really comes up, but more deeper, the history of science and how decrepit it has become worldwide. You see, at one point we used to respect scientists because we looked to them to find truth. The noble duty of the scientists was to explore truth. However, what's happened is the scientists have really become academics, they've become charlatans, they have actually become the tip of the spear of the military-industrial academic complex to shove down our throats fake problems and fake solutions, and they do it through fear. So 24 to 48 hours ago, some of you may know that I put forward a tweet, in fact, a campaign, which said that we need to get rid of this guy Fauci. And if you look here, let me bring it up here, and that campaign, I put it on Twitter. Twitter's one of the vehicles that I use to get the message out. And that message was the following. If you can read here, it basically says that, the deep state fake science establishment, let me make sure I'm transitioning. Yeah. Led by Fauci, cares zero about the immune health of the American public. To them, every problem is an infectious disease, a coronavirus, and every solution is a vaccine. Time to destroy Big Pharma. Fire Fauci. And this is the tweet that I put out with a link on a page which we developed, and it basically has the petition to fire Fauci, and it says indictment and firing of Anthony Fauci, and then it gives a little narrative, and at the bottom of it you can see close to 19,000 people have signed up. Right there, 19,000 people have signed up as of April 6, 2020, and I'm sure there's more coming in. We have nearly 400 medical doctors, 400 medical doctors who have signed up, 400 medical doctors all over the world have signed up asking for Fauci's firing. Most MDs went into medicine for a noble purpose. However, their hands are also, they have golden handcuffs in some ways. Their training is really pharmaceutical training. It's not about looking the body as a system. Their training is not about really considering food and nutrition as a primary line of defense. It's always been about, you have this ailment, let me find this pharmaceutical drug. So these people are victims of an unfortunate big pharma-based medical establishment. But you can see 400, 500 medical doctors have signed up, people all over the world, because everyday people like you and me, we can't be fooled. We understand what's going on. We understand that we're under a lockdown that serves the interests of big pharma and their cabal, which includes the CDC, the World Health Organization, China, the Gates Foundation, the Clinton Global Initiative, the Chan Zuckerberg Foundation, and big pharma as overall. And this is, by the way, you just, you do a little bit of research, and this is well written about. I'm just bringing it much more to the forefront with the credibility of an MIT PhD in biological engineering. And I think it's important that that occurs, and hopefully more scientists will come out and talk about it, those who are not going to hold on to these golden handcuffs. But that's what occurred less than 24 hours ago. We hit Fauci really hard. So what happened after that? Well, what happened shortly after that is I am on Twitter and I get the following message. And the message goes like this. It says, we've temporarily limited some of your account features. And so I was put in essentially some type of holding cell where I could not communicate for about 12 hours. Okay? And for someone like me who uses this medium to communicate, it's extremely important because the message that we're talking about, the message of that we need to take an immune systems approach, that we need to focus on immune health, that's a very important message that everyone deserves to hear, particularly the frontline workers, the medical workers, the elderly, the immunocompromised. We need to support their immune health. And the fact that Twitter did this, and why did they do this? Let me show you why they did this. This was their reason, and they wanted me to take down a tweet, okay, or appeal it, which would have taken long, and that was because of this. And this is not even something that I did in the recent past. They had to go digging to try to find something. And what they did was I put out this tweet which said it's beyond criminal. The medical establishment is not quote unquote mandating. And what did I mean by that? I was doing quote unquote mandating to talk about the fact that the pharmaceutical establishment wants to mandate vaccines. That's what they want to do. So I was making a joke, putting it in double quotes, that why don't you mandate vitamin D while you're at it if you truly care about our seniors, immunocompromised, and frontline workers. More importantly, vitamin D is a proven solution for acute respiratory infections. And I shared that in several research articles. This is not hearsay. What I'm saying is vitamin D is a proven solution for respiratory infections. There's been thousands of articles done on it. In fact, the recent review paper that came out on it in 2017, 11,000 participants. So the issue is, what must be proof in the eyes of the scientific establishment? That's what we're going to talk about. Who is determining what is science, what is real science, what is real innovation, and who's a real innovator? And I have some very personal experience with that on multiple levels. As a guy who invented email, having gone through the struggle that the military-industrial complex tried to deny the facts of that, try to completely make it a quote-unquote a controversial claim. Plus a scientist who's been in and out of MIT, 4 degrees, worked with some of the leading researchers in the world. I know, face-to-face what's happening with science. Science is completely being compromised. When you look at something like this, the fact that probably some $5, $15 an hour paid person in some call center, which Jack Dorsey and his Silicon Valley aristocrats think should be given the rights to determine what is proof or not, this is the insanity of what's going on. We have a cabal in this world which is determining that vitamin D, which is from the sun, is not a proven solution, or whether it is, when there's been thousands of research articles done on this. And this should get everyone angry. Everyone should be upset that Twitter is taking down a tweet and putting me, incapacitating me from communicating, a guy who has 4 degrees from MIT, a PhD in biological engineering, who does research on the immune system, who day and night is actually working with some of the best natural products companies to help them figure out how the immune system works, and other companies, and who gets invited to the National Science Foundation to give the lecture on the immune system, a distinguished lecture. Who is Twitter to take down this kind of tweet? Who are they? And who is Twitter? Where did they come from? And who do they actually represent? That is the conversation we need to have. Who are these 0.0000001% determining our future? That's the discussion we need to have. And that's a discussion we all need to be awakened up to, is that we are at a point right now, April 6, April 7, 2020, is with all this coronavirus taking place, all of us in our homes, it's a time to really reflect. And I hope to be a small, humble catalyst for supporting that reflection. And that reflection is, are we going to be free people or are we going to be slaves? This is a question that has historically occurred over and over again in human history. When we were in physical chains, working for a slave master, when we were a serf, working for a lord, or when we were, people who basically have to do mechanized work all day long on a factory shop line. We are no different at this point. And Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, the Clintons, the Chinese Communist Party who runs a top-down model, Big Pharma, led by their frontman Anthony Fauci, who believes that they're going to lead us into a society where it's top-down controlled. And that's what the division here is. Do you believe that a few people on top should be telling you what to do and controlling your bloodstream and your health? That's where we're at. Or does health and innovation and does science come from the edges? And that's what we're going to talk about today. Where does intelligence come from? Where does innovation come from? And where does real science come from? Because this is no longer a question about a virus. This is a question about your humanity. Because I would argue with you that the truth is that being a human being, and whatever spiritual tradition you come from, is about you as a human being. If you believe you're a spark of the divine, or you have something unique to offer this world, that you have a dream, that you have something to offer, that you have a creative execution of something you want to do, and you want to be innovative. So the goal of human life is for you and I to have the freedom to express our creativity. That could be a 14-year-old kid inventing the first email system. It could be an artist who wants to become a great ballerina dancer. It could be someone who wants to create a great piece of artwork. It could be someone who wants to invent, someone who wants to be a great cook. It doesn't matter. But the issue is the expression of creativity and the expression of innovation is the ultimate form of being a human being. And when you deny that ability to create, that ability to innovate to a small set of people, a few set of people in Silicon Valley, Bill Gates, who, by the way, did not invent DOS. He was a rich boy who went and got it from someone else and sold it. Zuckerberg, it's unclear whether he created Facebook or he stole it, but I can tell you this, that a 14-year-old kid in Newark, New Jersey, I did invent email before I came to MIT. And the reason that bothers them is this central question of where does innovation come from? Does it come from the triangle of the military, industrial, academic complex, which means a few people that you have to go to MIT, you have to go to Silicon Valley, you have to go to IIT in India, that you have to be part of the elite, and then you are stamped that you're an innovator. And the reason I can talk to this is because I had both experiences. I invented email before I came to MIT. And after I came to MIT, which is part of the military industrial complex, I did many other innovations, and you can go look at it. I was on the front page as a darling of MIT for doing many things. But the day I laid out the facts, after my dear mom died in 2011, and it was laid out that in clear black and white, that the invention of email took place before I came to MIT. That goes against this deep-set narrative that all great innovations, all great science must come from a few set of people. So let's talk